Hey, ladies and gentlemen, before the podcast start, I would like to say I'm in Poughkeepsie this weekend. And where else am I, Jack? Rochester and Poughkeepsie. Come and see me, and I'll be recording my new special next week in Chicago. There you go. And I'm coming out to Dubai. Check it, jimjefferies.com. But this weekend, Rochester and Poughkeepsie. Where will you be, Amos?
You can see me in Toronto, 23rd, 24th of May. And I also have to make an announcement. Maybe I can use it here. I have been chosen to be a part of Just for Laughs' Nasty Show.
Yeah.
I'm coming to perform at the Nasty Show.
I started in North America in the Nasty Show. Good work.
I'm coming to Just for Laughs to do that. So look up when that is. It's early July.
Welcome to At This Moment, ladies and gentlemen. This is your time, not ours. You sit back, you enjoy.
I hope they just got all that good stuff we've been talking about. We'll leave that in. Were we rolling?
No, we're not.
Oh, we weren't.
We're not putting in the massage thing.
All the good stuff is early.
We were just saying all of our massage preferences.
No, I don't like them at all.
You don't like them at all.
I despise it.
And there's certain agendas that I enjoy more.
He likes a small Filipino man touching his back.
Not Filipino. What are you talking about? Hey, I want to tell you something about my hat, right? So this hat, me and Amos went golfing a long time ago in Detroit,
that's the Detroit
Country Club,
yeah.
Right? It was designed by an infamous golf designer called Donald Ross, as you can see on the hat there. Yes. Donald Ross, who's a famous golf course designer, I have been told.
And the golf course there is really cool because it was for the Ford Motor Company executives in the heyday of the automotive industry.
And all the houses that line it are what we used to think was decadent houses, but now they all look like they're from the Munsters. But yeah, so that's Gothic. What's going. But it's a country club. We were actually there on a Mother's Day, so it was all the richest people of Detroit actually came in and actually, because they were doing the Mother's Day thing. Anyway, so I'm wearing this hat in Vegas, and somebody looks at it. Mm-hmm. And goes to me someone saw me before I went to my gig, looked at the hat, and they went, "What does your hat say?" And I said, "Oh, it's a golf course." And they went, and they read the Donald, and they went, And I'm like, all right. We all know I'm not a Donald Glover fan, but
Glover?
No, I was making a joke. We all know I'm not a Donald Trump guy, right? Yes. But is his name so bad now? It's the equivalent of Adolf. Like you can't have
it's the hat design.
You can't wear his first name on an item of clothing. Has he fucked up the name Donald so royally that I'm not allowed to wear a different... like, what's happening to Donald Duck? You wear a T-shirt now and people are like this, fascist.
But where are the Dons now? Where are the Dons now? Don Draper, Don Duck, Don Trump. But I don't know. Donald Bradman in Australia. And even Donald Bradman, the greatest Australian cricketer. There's no Dons I grew up with.
Okay, is the name Donald... on an uptick for babies right now, or is it on a decline?
For conservatives?
For anybody. He's the most famous man on earth.
Yeah. Right?
Are there baby Donalds, baby Donnies?
You will see a boom of it.
Because normally Donnies, back in the day, like my age Donnies, all Italian, all Guido-y type of people, right? Hey, Donnie. Hey, Donnie. Hey, Donald.
But now it's going to be through the Appalachia.
And now it's going to be some white Aryan-looking Donalds. Hey, Donald!
no doubt about it, man.
Is the name Donald on the rise? Prediction.
You know what? I can get the stats up if you like.
All right. Well, we have a Jack for that. But he
Jack,
didn't move.
do something.
He didn't move.
Joe Rogan's got that guy he's into it all the time. Yo, Jack, pull that shit up or whatever. This guy's
just scratching my balls while we had the shot just on your face, and they went wide shot again.
It hit a record low in 2021.
It hit a record low.
Did it?
In 2021.
Yeah, but he was down and out then.
Yeah, but you reckon now that he's back, there's going to be like, if you go to...
That was post-January 6th.
If you go to a kindergarten in 5 years, is there going to be Donalds as far as the eye can see? It's down. So I thought that was funny that I was seen as some type of right-wing nut for having the word Donald on me.
I think just having a golf hat.
A golf hat called Donald is pretty...
like if you're already in his territory.
Oh, from a country club in Detroit, could there be a bigger divide of us and them than golfing in a country club in Detroit?
It's a golf country club in a place that wants the audio industry back. That's a kind of...
Yeah.
That's a layup for a Trump fan right there.
Yeah, no. I think I could get into a Trump rally pretty easy without a ticket. Do you have tickets for those, or you just go in?
You get the tickets are free, but you have to go on a wait list.
Really?
I'm not speaking from experience.
You've been.
I went to the Bronx one, remember?
Yeah, I know you. I remember. Yeah. You were sending me pictures of different ethnicities that you saw throughout the day.
It was crazy.
You were like this, look, some Jewish people are here. And
a lot of Jewish people were there.
Hasidic Jews were there. There was
So
like
many Hasids.
there's like, and then you go, you sent me another photo. Some Mexicans?
No, they were Puerto Rican. There was big Puerto Rican vibes there.
Oh,
that
okay,
day.
all right.
And then it was really funny because I remember catching the subway home. I was going back into the city, and every stop you got closer to actual downtown in New York.
More people got off.
More and more people were getting abused because there was like a lot of Puerto Rican dudes and black dudes wearing like the Trump hat who were coming in, and then other black guys would get on and be like, put that shit off your head. And it was like, it got weaker and weaker in Trump support the further you got into the train station.
Right.
And so you started seeing people taking their merch off as they got further
They started putting
They're
it in
like,
their bag.
no,
it's not a Manhattan hat.
it's not a Manhattan hat at all. No, it was a weird experience, man. People were there like 10 hours saving a seat, to try and get into that fucking thing.
Yeah, you want to be out of the blast zone.
But I just wanted to see it once in my life. I'm glad I went now because you will never see that again unless, of course, he does run for the third time. But
I'm sure he'll do another show in Nuremberg eventually.
I was doing a joke about that the other day. You know that famous picture at the Nuremberg rally and everyone's zig hailing, but there's that one guy that has his arms down?
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's like this iconic photo about, I always thought it'd be funny that guy actually just has a torn rotator cuff. And he couldn't get his arm up that day. And he's been made into a hero, but it was because he was so vigorous with it beforehand.
Okay, so on my show that I have a 2-limb policy, and I'll be speaking about this on my new special coming up. But if you're disabled and you have 2 limbs that are stuffed up, I have a 2-limb policy. Right. You can go to the meet and greet for free and take a photo with me. Lucky you, right? If you're disabled, you get a photo with me. Well, what a win. It's like
life's giving you some hard cards, but
silver lining.
Silver
lining over here. When life gives you lemons, we give you Jim Jefferies. There you go. Yeah. So anyway, I said, you got to be missing 2 limbs, or they've got to do nothing, or they've got to, I won't do the joke because I watched the special. But anyway, this guy gets into the meet and greet. He's got a coat on, and he's missing his arms, and he got past the security, and he got in there, and he's I got no arms, right? And he was just wearing a baggy shirt with his arms obviously tucked into his pants or behind him or something like that. But the security didn't pat him down to check he had no arms. He just went, he got no arms. So he walks up to me. He's like, I got no arms. And I'm like, first of all, someone with no arms doesn't have to tell that to people. Yeah. They'd be so used to people looking at them with the no arms, right?
And did he have like a heavy trench coat?
Yeah, so he had a jacket. It looked real. It looked like he had no arms. And I said, you got arms? He goes, no, I don't have arms. I go, you have arms. And I go, you're wearing cowboy boots.
What's that got to do?
Because if you got no arms, you're not wearing cowboy boots.
Because they're hard to get on.
They're harder to get off. You're wearing slip-ons.
You kick the boots off.
No, you need a boot remover, actually, where you put it in the stirrup and you do. Actually, you could do it without your arms. It's one of the few. But for the most part,
all of the shoes, I think you can kick the boots off.
No, it's very hard to get the boots off. Sometimes you can't get it off without the boot removal thing. The boot removal thing is the key.
Man, being a guy with no arms, hard to be a fascist. You got to stub Heil.
No, I mean, he didn't even have one on his shoulders. He couldn't do anything. I'm just saying he was a slip-on wearer. And as soon as I went, you're wearing cowboy boots. That's not the shoe of the armless.
No arms in Nazi Germany. That's tough. You just got to be like, I'm into it.
I'm into it.
I love him. I'm a big fan of the guy. I just can't.
I reckon. Even when you were telling the story, then you went, I'm a big fan of the guy. No, you got to keep.
I can keep my arms down.
You're an armless guy. You're an armless guy.
Look, all I'm saying is saying Heil does a lot of the heavy lifting.
If you were an armless man in Nazi Germany, the jokes you could have made. I'm a big fan of him. Hey, I know you're killing off the disabled as well, but not me. I fight for your right to bear arms. I can only wish. I can't join the army, can I? All day.
What did you have all the run now? And you will be doing this in special.
Yeah.
Who's the most disabled person that's come backstage? Because I've seen a lot of people really just sneak in and go, I've got depression.
Yeah, people try to sneak in. Yeah. I've had some people who are non-verbal come backstage, non-verbal people.
Because I saw a thing in the news the other day. It was a guy who had no arms and no legs, and it looked like he had been potentially, I didn't read the story, but maybe he'd been taken out in an IED or something. And when he was like from his stomach, and so his stomach was encased in some kind of machine, and he was just a torso and a head. Yeah. And the guy's living his life.
You know what I'd be saying to chicks? Who wants a pillow? That would be my big thing. You can lean on me.
Yeah, lean on me. I'm a comforter.
We'll save on pillows. You buy me one, and then we don't have to buy one for you, and then we'll just sleep in a rotation on a right angle.
But how does that guy not? Because I am often extremely
Can't kill
depressed.
himself. Can't kill himself.
Can't kill himself.
Can't kill himself. Wants to. Can't jump off anything. Can't even turn the engine on and leave the garage door down. Can't even take pills because, you know, the missus tries to keep him alive.
No cutting the wrist.
No cutting the wrist.
No wrist
They've
out.
already been cut. It didn't work the first time. All right? Yeah, no, that
You're
guy.
like suicide proof.
Yeah.
You've been nerfed
Yeah.
from ending it.
Yeah.
You're just going to sit there.
Yeah.
What do you do in that situation? Do you ever think about that?
Go on holiday and euthanasia. Sorry, pay for euthanasia. That's when you're that age.
Well, that's Canada. They're killing everyone over there at the moment.
Well, I used to talk about, they used to have in Britain out of, people used to go on this cruise out of Holland.
Yeah, right.
Now, the Dutch can do it, but you could get this.
What, a suicide cruise?
Yeah, your suicide cruise, international waters.
Well, who was the comedian they booked?
That's the whole thing. That's the whole thing. Do you reckon there's still, because you know when you leave a cruise, they throw streamers.
Yeah.
And all, do they still do that? Or do you bring the kids to say, wave goodbye to grandma, have a good cruise. We'll see you when you...
Or at least make it Titanic themed. Take them out and make them jump into the cold water. Make it themed.
Okay, so if the suicide cruise
Book
hits
me?
an iceberg,
Okay, so I thought you
hits
meant
an
that.
iceberg and sinks, is that as big a tragedy as a regular cruise?
Absolutely not. No, that's what.
Well,
they
there's
want.
staff working there.
Well, no. Okay, I understand what you mean.
Okay, there's the person who did make
Well, the staff
Cirque du
make it into the
Soleil.
lifeboats.
Yeah, they do a bit of a show and they do the buffet.
Yeah, there is no doubt about it. That'd be so much fun for those people that they wouldn't
I
want to
reckon.
die.
Do you reckon on the cruise you get to bring a partner with you? So you have. I imagine you would. You'd get to bring one partner with you, right?
What an awful thing for that person.
Everyone would be able to bring one person. Yeah, but if the murder is on the same day, imagine how many people all their partners would be copping off. Yeah. They've been taking care of an elderly sick person for many years.
You're saying the cruise there,
Yeah.
but the cruise back they're kind of relieved.
The cruise back has congolons going around
It's a different
cruise.
vibe, that's for sure. A mass cremation.
Death.
Yeah, man. I mean, listen.
Like life's for the living.
Of all the ways to go, isn't drowning in the cold like that? You just pass out.
No, you take the injection. You go. You lay on a deck chair. You enjoy the first thing. On your last, I saw someone who travelled to American who travelled recently to Holland to get it done, and they document it. And they're trying to arrest the woman right now, the wife, because she facilitated and helped him on the plane, and then helped him to the doctors and helped him to the thing. And they're trying to get her. And it's like most people in the world are like, fuck you on that one. Right? Because people can still kill themselves. We're not banning that. It's just they want to do it not at their own hand.
But I've never understood, like, I'm going to kill myself and I'm going to go to Switzerland into the Alps, into one of those glass encasements that kills you, and you get to watch the Alps. It's like, are you suicidal if you're thinking about a last bit of enjoyment? Like,
no, I think it's because they dispose of the body. You're not going to be a hindrance to anyone else. It's going to be pain-free. You're not going to fuck it up, which you could with drugs. You could vomit it all up and all that type of stuff. And you get to look at the Alps.
yeah, but if I want to commit suicide in Detroit.
No, they don't have the nice chocolate. You want to have chocolate.
Yeah, but you don't want anything good. You've given up on the idea of there being anything to live for. So what's the point of going somewhere that's so lovely?
Okay, what would be the movie that you would watch in the last 3 days?
Oh, probably the one I watched the other day, that fucking shit new Avengers movie. And I'd say there's nothing good being created on this planet anyway, so we might as well call it.
Oh, no, I would just watch Back to the Future again.
But it's making you happy. You want to be
No,
miserable,
it's-
so the whole point of suicide is I'm ending the suffering. If you have a bit of joy, you go...
On one screen, and then a video of my wife being fucked by someone else on the other.
You'd get into that, you
I'd have
cuck.
it picture in picture. Did anyone ever use picture in picture on a TV? Ever? I've seen it. It's PIP.
Well, I do it on my phone.
On the phone, I can
Yeah,
do
of
it.
course.
But on the TV, it never felt like your cable plan logged in to that. You can never get like Netflix over here and a sports game. You can never put the sports game. I'm sure some people can do it, but I can never figure it out.
It's crazy how I do that on my phone. Like, I'm watching clips.
Yeah.
And that's not enough stimulation anymore. So you do that thing where you're
Watch
out of
porn
screen
as
and you
well.
put that up, and then you're reading Twitter, and then you're also watching that. Then you've got something on the main screen. Then maybe I'll game as well. And it's
Do you ever have a shit, look at your phone for a bit, get distracted, watch a bit of porn, have a wank, while you haven't cleaned your ass yet?
No.
I have done that a couple of times. That one, you always feel ashamed of yourself afterwards. You're like, I've made so many different messes.
I don't want to be too Freudian here.
If a crime breaks off in this bathroom, it's all me going to prison.
What was it about your asshole beginning to gape that got you in the mood?
Well, now I'm just of the opinion it is what it is. It is what it is. I am who I am. I'm Popeye.
Yeah, you had a... I mean, I think I maybe had a wank on a toilet once because it was the only place to go. When you're a teenager.
Not standing, just like you don't want to stand up because you haven't wiped your ass. You don't want your ass like everyone stood above a toilet bowl and had a wank. Of course,
you really are
my
repugnant creature.
My mother-in-law listens to this podcast. She's having like, "G'day, Becca. Yeah. How you going?" You know, my sister-in-law, because we spoke about it the other day and about their wedding and I told her stuff. She posted us doing the podcast. That was nice.
I feel like shit today. Can I tell you what I did?
Tasha.
You know what I did yesterday? I was driving home from the Comedy Store.
Yeah. That's a good
and
story.
Every comedian kept talking about Cinco de Mayo.
Yeah, tomorrow. I don't know.
Which was yesterday.
Yesterday, was it?
And every comedian some Cinco de Mayo thing. And so I went, oh yeah. So I'm driving home. I got Taco Bell.
Cinco de Mayo.
To celebrate Cinco de Mayo, which is probably one of the most offensive Mexican cuisines you can have. And I ate, because we've discussed this before about Taco Bell. I don't really know what any of the meals are. I just go this, chuck us one of those cheesies. And
Gordita Crunch.
Gordita Crunch, which means little fat girl.
Does it?
Yeah, Gordita is apparently a little fat girl.
Little fat girl crunch.
A little fat girl crunch.
That's my favourite item in real life and on the menu.
Yeah, and at Epstein's.
Yeah. No, I'm not saying she's a child. I'm just saying like a short fat chick.
Yeah, like a little short dumpling.
Like Snooki.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But my God, I woke up this morning, couldn't even see out of my eyes. The level of puff immediately, salt, and the shit I took this morning. It's just, I know on this podcast I talk about how unhealthy I am in this country. I've got to go.
Your head has changed shape.
Dude, it's big today. You see it?
Yeah.
I've swelled up.
I think this is the best reception we've ever had on the podcast.
I'm trying to move further back in the chair.
Yeah, you got to stand further behind me. And I
need a different camera.
I've already got a big head. All right, so let's see if this hat fits on your head, right? Because my head's big. I think my head looks smaller than yours.
I'm also really bad in a hat. Look at it.
You look good.
Oh yeah, it's because it's a Republican hat.
Give it back. I haven't done my hair.
Look at yeah.
Give it back. I'm wearing it for one purpose alone. The balding man. The balding man.
So I want to talk
what's happening at this
about some
moment?
things that are happening at this moment, and it's not just eating.
Apart from
I got a guy from Reykjavik.
A guy with no arms, no legs. What was the end of that?
About what? Oh, we're just talking about all the different people.
Is he all right? Is he doing?
No,
all right?
he just sits there all day, and they were saying that he's not depressed. He's made peace with his life, and I always think there's a lot of talk for people who struggle with mental health about perspective and gratitude journals, and you think, fuck me, that's like. If you wake up in the morning and watch that, it's hard to be upset at your own problems. The people, Taco Bell wasn't nice.
The people who have the most life in the world are the people who have told they've only got a finite amount of time to live it. Finite amount of time to live it.
Yeah.
I know someone who is dying, and she is very. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this.
Nothing
you
to
know
put
what
off.
I mean? There's nothing to put off. Now, also, if that guy's not dying, he's got no arms and no legs. Oh, you'd get really into TV, wouldn't you? You get so into TV. And the good thing is, it's never been better to be a person that can't move than it is right now. Growing up in Australia, I had 3 channels, 4 channels if you count the ABC, 5 channels if you count SBS, but we didn't have the right coat hanger in the back of the TV. But and I still found a way to fit in 7, 8, 9 hours of TV every single day. Every single day. Right?
It was objectively worse, but for some reason, I don't know. You're willing to put up with a lot of crap.
I watched old movies, whatever my mother was watching, whatever the fat woman in The Lazy Boy was watching is what I
watched Zulu with Michael Caine like 10 times in my youth, just because it was always on when you'd wag school.
Well, do you remember there was a guy that used to do the Sunday movies called Bill something, and he was just he's like an old gay fella, I think he was anyway, in a suit, and he used to just go, and this next movie coming up has Shirley Temple in all of her glamour, and he'd talk you through it a little bit on Australian TV, and then you'd watch the movie.
I didn't have that. I was more of a Ready Steady Cook person, which was
Jack. Can you find me some guy who presented old movies on Australian TV?
Yeah, right. Gay Aussie bloke Sunday movie.
Sunday movies, old bloke. It was like a Bill something or other, and Who we got? Jack? You can edit this down. I'm sure this is not making your life harder.
Bill Collins?
Bill Collins. Get me up a picture of Bill Collins, right? So Bill Collins, that was yeah, there he is. There he is. My mother, if that guy said a movie was good, there he is. And this is the next film to come out of the Warner Brothers lot from the 1875 movie classic, Toro.
Let me ask you a question. You got this Bill Collins guy.
Yeah, and I don't know what made him an authority.
Then there was Roger Ebert with the 2 thumbs up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Name me a film critic today.
We don't need critics anymore because the whole society has become a critic. Now, there used to be a comedy critic. There's a famous comedy critic in Britain who follows me around and they write for a major newspaper and gives me 1 star every single time and has for 20 years, right? It's not going to change. The opinion's not going to change, right? And then there was Kate Copstick, who was one of the big ones, who always liked me, who always gave me a 4 star. It's whether the person likes you, whether the person doesn't like you. They don't have any more authority in comedy. Food, the same thing. Do we need Michelin star things now, or do we?
Well, we have Instagram sort of does that for people now.
Instagram does it, and also movies is the same thing. We go on to Rotten Tomatoes. There'll be all the critics there, but is there a famous movie critic? Not anymore. One of these people who just goes,
like a tastemaker.
I believe that this is a quintessential bit of film.
Let me ask you a question then.
Yeah.
Do you think the world and art was better when there were tastemakers who would set the agenda of what was good, or do you think democracy of art is better, where you go, this got 89% from Rotten Tomatoes, ergo I trust the public?
Okay, there's pluses and minuses to everything. The problem with the public voting on things is they give 1 star or 5 star. There's nothing in between. No one is subjective with their reviews. I love it, I hate it, I love it, I hate it. Right now, with actual reviewers, actual tastemakers, if we have someone with good taste, it's the same reason you
or a taste that you like.
Yeah, it's the same reason you employ an interior decorator. I know what I like, but I can never get it out there. My vision on what this thing should look like can never get out there, right? So I need someone who has better taste than me, who I go, if I like a lot of this, I like a lot of wood panels, I like a lot of other, they can actually feed into what I need, right? Now, where critics and tastemakers have meshed in, say, for decades, my whole life, I've been listening to women being objectified on magazine covers, and these aren't real looking women and all that type of stuff, right? And we all had these string bean, really tall women, and then it turned out to be true to a certain extent, because then when the Instagram came out and we had our Kim Kardashians, we had short women with big asses and big tits, men all went, that's actually what we've been enjoying the whole time.
Yeah, because it was gay guys that ran fashion.
Gay guys and women were telling us what attractive women were, and heterosexual men were having no say in the matter.
Oh, there is nothing worse, Jim. Think about how much grief straight men received about giving women bad body image.
Yeah.
And we realised the entire time it was themselves and gay guys who don't want to fuck
This is the thing. It was never us.
Not one time.
We never gave you that. And then, as soon as women had the opportunity to filter their own photos, they fucking took to it. Oh my God, for all of us, you men are objectifying us.
They airbrush.
And this isn't what a real woman looks like, and you men are disgusting. And we go, all right, what about these women with big tits? She looks like a porn star. I know!
Oh, you just like sluts then, don't you? It's a simple code.
Yeah, I don't want a tall woman with no tits. I don't know what the big thing is here.
It's like, how hard was it for them to understand? We want childbearing fucking hips.
We wanted
that's the evolutionary
curvy. And so women were airbrushing those photos, and gay men were airbrushing those photos, and we never had anything to do it. And as soon as women had their own opportunity, they airbrushed their own photos. The end.
Yeah. And
I'm sorry.
And we're the toxic ones.
We're not the toxic. Women are so toxic to other women.
You gave me an eating disorder. No, your eating disorder was the reason we broke up. I wanted to go out with you and enjoy a meal.
Yeah.
And I was never saying you should eat less.
It
was your gay friend who is apparently, he's just like the greatest guy. Really? He wants you to be an ectomorph giraffe.
Did I make pig noises whilst you ate your dessert?
Yes, but she was eating
because
grubbily.
I'm funny. I'm a funny person. And you said you didn't want any dessert. You'll just try some of mine. I had to roll my eyes and play the game. Okay.
I didn't.
Well, I'll get a dessert. Would you like 2 spoons? I would. Thank you. Just in case. And then you shoveled it down. Of course I was going to make a noise.
We didn't make the insecurities. We did manipulate them.
Oh! All day. Did I leave those magazines turned to certain pages with like a little bit written underneath, my ideal woman? Sure.
Was Kate Moss my screensaver?
As motivation.
Yeah, but we didn't create it. That's all.
Yeah.
We didn't create the wound. We did put our finger in it occasionally.
Yeah.
But
speaking of sex.
I think about that with comedy.
Yeah.
Okay, so we can speak about our own industry.
Yeah, we know a bit about this. I know nothing about women.
But I know a little bit about... I'll tell you this about movies.
Okay.
I went and watched The Marvel. Okay, so I'm not a lover.
I don't like
despise it.
I like DC more than Marvel.
I don't like any
cinematic. But I'm superheroed out. No one was a bigger superhero than me. I'm superheroed out.
I will say, I know I have no right to be a snob. You know, everyone's got their own taste. I went and watched this fucking movie, and maybe it's also just Americans, but I didn't want to go. And Annika said, we watched Warfare, which I quite liked. New movie about a battle in Fallujah. Yeah. So we were out of any other good movies.
Manuel Fallujah.
So we went and watched the new Marvel movie, and I was like, I don't really want to watch this. She said, come on, it's just a dark place to eat popcorn, which, you know, I like just going to the cinema for whatever. I'm hating the movie. I think it's garbage. People, you know, when the audience is laughing, and you go, what was fucking funny there? And then I start to think, and my girlfriend's getting angry at me, going, who are you to be mocking people for having fun? And I go, yeah, you're right, I'm a cunt. But then every time a character would come on stage, on the screen, the whole crowd, woo!
Yeah, okay.
I was like, you're all fucking simpletons.
Non-Americans don't know this, but the rest of the world may not know this. But Americans, at times, will cheer at movies. It's so jarring when you first get here. Sometimes when the credits come up and it goes Arnold Schwarzenegger, they will clap like he might hear it in some way.
This is a culture that claps when the plane lands.
Yeah.
And so it's the same energy.
Yeah.
Okay? They like one bit of dialogue that they like, oh.
And then I'll be back. Whee!
And it makes me so fucking angry. And Annika, my girlfriend, is like, she's glaring at me like, why can't you just have fun? And I'm going, because this country is full of people that haven't fucking grown up. They're worse than children.
They never do it in the old porn houses, did they? In the old X-rated cinemas on Times Square, you never saw, here comes out this porn star. Whoa, whoa!
No, they were too busy going, woo, looking at Pee Wee Herman.
Poor Pee Wee. Really? If you're not going to have a wank in there, what are you doing? What are you doing?
What's the target demo?
Who is the person who was offended and went, oh, he's a pervert? They were all perverts in there. They were just trying to, like, I can tell you.
Is that what it was? He was tossing off in a dirty flick cinema.
In an X-rated movie cinema.
And you're not, actually, are you allowed to?
It used to be where people hooked up and stuff with dodgy type of things. Like you'd wait and you'd see someone, they go, I'm going into this booth or, you know what I mean? Like some shit
You'd
went down.
You'd expect discretion at a joint like that.
They used to have like...
In Florida too.
They used to have in Florida, they used to have these
Vinyl
ones
seats.
where you'd go into a booth, you'd put some money in it, and the shield would open up, and there'd be a woman masturbating behind the thing, and that's how you'd get live porn, you know what I mean? And you'd wank off, and then they'd have hand sanitizer to the side. They knew what you were doing. And there was a guy with a mop who was just like, all right, and fucking.
It's a rough summer job.
Yeah, exactly, right? And so Pee Wee Herman, look, I've never had a wank in a cinema, even in an X-rated. I've never gone to an X-rated cinema for more than 5 minutes. I've always thought, well, I'd want to have a wank. I'm watching porn. What a terrible place. And
then you're stuck for 50 more minutes of the film?
I've never understood that when porn ads come on, are you tired of masturbating alone? No, it's the way I like to do it. It's my preference. I like to masturbate alone.
Are you alone? No, I actually got my uncle and auntie over. I haven't seen him for a while.
Are you tired of masturbating alone? I don't want to do it with others.
Well, some do.
Okay, so what's happening at this moment?
I'll tell you something else that I noticed at this moment when I'm at the cinema. When was the last time you saw teenagers having a fingering? Because I recall going to the cinema and always being like, God, look at this young Aussie couple back here really petting hard.
Oh, yeah, no.
You don't see them doing anything
The first
anymore.
time I did that with a young girl, and I was about to turn 15 or something like that. I was late 14 type of thing. And I told you the story how I met this girl. Anyway, so the movie I was at was strictly ballroom, right? And that's all I really had in my pants at that stage. Whoa. Anyway, so this girl, but the lights went down. We started making out. We didn't stop making out for the 2-hour film, right? Just like kids, right? It's fucking
the greatest. They're some of the greatest sexual memories. We aren't even having sex. You're just making out.
Me and the wife don't make out for 2 hours. Are you ridiculous? That would be silly. Right? Now I know my
even
wife.
Eye contact's a luxury.
My wife would be like that. I'd enjoy it, but you don't want to blah, blah, blah. Anyway, but the teenage making out all the fucking for hours and hours and hours, it's a bit of innocent fun. But we had to go to the cinema because my parents wouldn't let me keep my door shut. Her parents, I'm not allowed to go over there and keep my door shut. I just think now that parents are more like, okay, well, as long as it's under my roof and as long as... Me and my parents didn't talk about sex.
That is right. It's more tolerated at home, so
it's more tolerated at home, so you don't have to go to a cinema to get your fingering on.
Yeah. I got my first fingering on with my high school girlfriend to the movie the George W. Bush film.
George W. Bush. You would have taken... That was the only way... That's the only way that Amos could have kept an erection the whole time.
Looking at Karl Rove and just getting a fucking moist finger. And she was just like, I'm going...
Did you have to say a moist fingering?
Why is moist? I think this
I don't have any problem with the word moist.
Neither do I. Everyone's like moist. It became this national joke that we all go, oh, isn't moist the worst word? No.
I had a girl.
Nice.
I had a girl who didn't like the name, who didn't like the word.
Why?
Years ago, about 15 years ago, was adamant she didn't like it. But the other people don't like the word cloth. Cloth. Yeah, cloth upsets people.
Because of like
a moist cloth.
A moist cloth. Well, that's because you're thinking of a chloroform rag at that point.
No, I'm not thinking of a chloroform. I don't even know. Where would you buy chloroform? Do you get it at the pharmacy?
It's at CVS.
Is it in the hardware store? Is it used for other things? Is it a
cleaning product?
Yeah. Does it strip wood?
G'day, guys. I'm just looking to get rope, chloroform.
Sure. I've got a job back at the house. Might be waking up. No,
do you have to know someone?
Is chloroform? Can I just get it? How do you spell it?
This is why. By the way, we don't have any sponsors, but this is why you need a VPN. you really don't want to be doing chloroform. Chloroform, also known as trictoloromethane, methane, is a volatile, colorless, sweet-smelling liquid. And why are people complaining? It's primarily used as a solvent in the production of other chemicals like refrigerants and plastics.
It does other things.
It's used to be an anesthetic, but its use in surgery is now limited due to its potential for liver toxicity. So I don't know where you can buy it, but...
I just, ladies, look out for the fridge repair guys. That's what I'm going to tell you. Some guy says he repairs fridges, run.
No matter how sweet smelling it is. You get out of there. Well, I don't know why would we bring that? That's right, the movies. Because this brings to our first big story.
The movie.
Donald Trump. Who would have thought we'd have to talk about him every fucking episode? But that's just what the news is. Has proposed a new tariff to something right at home here in the United States. I'll read you his Truth Social. The movie industry in America is dying a very fast death.
He tried a little bit there.
Okay, it was going to go. And then I thought it's
very fast.
Other countries, they're offering all sorts of incentives. A lot of incentives to draw our filmmakers and studios away from the United States. Hollywood and many other areas in the USA are being devastated. This is a concerted effort by other nations and is therefore a national security threat. It is, in addition to everything else, messaging and propaganda. Therefore, I'm authorizing the Department of Commerce and the United States Trade Representative to immediately begin the process of instituting a 100% tariff on any and all movies entering our country that are produced in foreign lands.
That is not the secret to fix it. The secret to fixing the movie industry is to give tax breaks to the movie companies like they do overseas and like they do in other states outside of California. California, your calling card was always that, hey, you've seen the movie, do you want to see the location? Right? Do you want to come and see where the stars live? That's why the tourists came here, because we've seen the movies. They don't make fucking game shows anymore in LA.
Well,
They've moved them to Dublin.
Can I play something for you? So Rob Lowe and Adam Scott were talking about this the other day.
Well, Rob Lowe hosts a game show that's hosted in Dublin.
Have a listen to this. Oh, shit. Hold on. Is that working? There we go.
It's cheaper to bring 100 American people to Ireland than to walk across the lot at Fox.
Right.
Past the sound stages and do it there.
Crazy. Do you think if we shot Parks right now, we would be in Budapest?
100% we would be. We'd be in Budapest. We would be...
It's so weird. There's nothing shoots in Los Angeles.
Nothing. I had my next show already done, scripts, deals closed.
Yeah.
And they said, we're shooting this in New York. And I said, I'm not moving to New York to do this.
Yeah.
And then it went away. The show's done. I'm not doing it.
Wow.
It's like,
okay, so this is LA has an opportunity, not an opportunity, a bad opportunity of becoming Detroit, of losing its industry completely. All the people who worked in that business moving out because it doesn't matter anymore. We found that after COVID that a lot of celebrities and like I could move to a different city.
Yeah, well, people were living
the problem
here
is
for that reason.
I have kids from different women, and so I need to sort of stay near my children, right? So I can't. But they fucked it up. The movie's being filmed in Vancouver. The fact that he said 100 Americans flying to Dublin, it's just a tax break. Now, charging 100% tariffs on Dublin, I guess we'll get some of it done, but it won't fix LA because then we'll still go to Atlanta where they have the tax breaks.
Oh, you know,
we'll still
Hollywood's
go
done.
to New Mexico where they have the tax breaks. I was filming a movie in New Mexico, and in the lift okay, so I'm filming a movie in New Mexico, and they said, you're going to be on set at this time. And I was like, great. The car will be waiting for you. I said, great. I got in a car, introduced myself to the other actors and all that type of stuff. Off we went. I was in the car for 10 minutes before I realized I was in the wrong movie.
What do you mean?
There was another movie that involved a similar topic to the movie I was in, filming in Albuquerque at the same time, and I got in the wrong car.
Who were the? Obviously, they weren't big stars. You weren't like.
Nor was I.
With Matt Damon.
No.
You would be quite clear.
There was another guy who I met in his name's Nestor Cortez or something. I can't remember anyway. But he's a guy that I met out there who's another actor who's like famous off CSI and all that type of stuff. And I had some drinks with him once at the bar type of thing. And then there's soft drinks. And then there's so many movies going on in New Mexico and Atlanta. Unbelievable. And Vancouver. That's your filming place. Nothing gets filmed in LA anymore. These Universal Studio lots and all that type of stuff are just things for tourists now. There's nothing being made.
Well, in the same way that in Detroit, it's the Henry Ford Museum.
The actors aren't happy about it.
Yeah, it's a studio museum.
The production people aren't happy about it. Actors don't want to go live in a hotel for 3 months. They want to go back to their home. The best job for an actor in Hollywood is a multicam sitcom in LA because it's a 9 to 5 job if you have kids. That's the best job. Doing a movie on different locations, that's a grind. But that's months and months away from your kids. Months.
I'm curious about what institutes a foreign-made movie.
It's bad for your marriage. Really bad for your marriage, being away from your partner for that long.
But like, what is a foreign-made movie? Let's say you're shooting a film and it's a spy thriller.
Yeah.
And so it's an American-made movie.
Well,
but
this is the
they're
thing.
doing scenes in Paris because they're hunting down an international arms dealer.
This is the thing. So what happens when we make a movie like Moulin Rouge, which was made by Baz Luhrmann, or Elvis, was made by Baz Luhrmann in Australia with all Australian extras, but the stars are American. Right? You got Tom Hanks and you got Austin Butler. They're your stars. They're American actors, right? But the money's coming from a film production company. These film production companies have offices here and here and here and here and here.
Yeah, I just don't know what technically makes it count as made overseas.
Exactly. So is the movie Elvis and the movie Moulin Rouge, are they Australian films?
I guess they are.
I guess they are.
I guess they would count as that.
But so, they're made by the Hollywood machine.
That's what I mean.
The Hollywood money is where it's coming from.
But you could say the same thing about like Apple is based here, but it makes all of its stuff in China, and then you're trying to stop that, which he's already pulled out on.
He's already pulled out on that.
But like for the same thing for the movies, like what if there's an American-made movie that is like, do we have to make around America in 80 days instead of around the world?
Yeah, if you have Jason Bourne start his mission here, and then he finishes his mission in Paris, is that what's happened?
From now on, Mission Impossible, Tom Cruise is not allowed to leave the country? Mission Impossible.
Does this mean
he's got no passport?
Does this mean that I get extra acting work because I have an American passport? If they need an Australian, they can't afford a non-American Australian.
All I'm saying is,
I could scoop up all that work unless the fucking Hemsworths undersell me again. I could have had Thor. I could have had it. My price was too high.
Could you imagine if you did go to the studio and go, look, you're obviously into a buff Aussie.
Yeah.
$8,000.
Well, I told you, I once was almost cast in a movie, and they go, it's between you and another actor. And I'm like, okay, great. This is like 15 years ago when I first got to America. And I was like, okay, great. And I said, who's the other actor? And they went, Ben Affleck. And I went,
best day of your life.
And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
This is like 15 years ago. What? And my management said to me, they go, they're trying to decide between the $3 million option and the $30,000 option.
Right.
Right?
You're the recession option.
Yeah. Like, will the movie make $3 million more with him in it?
Yeah.
Or will it? Or
they'd spend money on a nutritionist and a trainer for you.
The part was like a stoner guy with like long hair who was just like fucking on the couch all the time.
What was the movie?
I don't know.
Good Will Hunting.
It was many years ago. It was a movie Extract, and it was a Mike Judge film, and it had Jason Bateman in it, and what's his name? I just mentioned. Ben
Affleck.
Ben Affleck and Mila Kunis.
Right.
Straight out of the '70s show. And so, but it was like, I never watched it because I went through about 4 or 5 auditions for this thing, and I was like, it never happened.
So if you were Gavin Newsom, surely you would do whatever you could. I mean, this whole city...
You should be making tax breaks to the movie industry because it helps the tourism industry. Because it's not just like, oh, we get more tax break. The taxes in California are so horrendous for everybody involved, because you pay your state income tax and your federal income tax, that if production can't have permits that are, these permits are very expensive. So what are the
Irish actually doing to get all this stuff? They just go, you pay no tax to us here? Or you pay way less tax? It's like a 40% credit.
You pay way less tax. Okay. You pay
and wouldn't it be a union issue as well, though? I mean, they're always striking here.
They're also happy because they get, you got to have a certain amount of local hires. So it helps the citizens of your town, right? So if you're in New Mexico, you've got to have a certain level of New Mexico people. I believe, I've never done a movie contract, but that's what it feels like being on these sets. And so it helps the local economy. Also, you get all these people influxing in here. Also, a bit of tourism. It's good all round to have movies being made in your country, in your town. It helps unemployment immensely. There's so many people employed.
I think California are like, we just make trillions of dollars from having Silicon Valley, so they don't really care. This used to be the only thing they had was Hollywood, and now Hollywood really isn't as important to them anymore because they're like, we've got.
But have you seen the new like California tourist commercials? It's like, hey, here we are surfing, here we are skateboarding, we're always having fun. And then it's like the last thing, we get Magic Johnson going, hey, why don't you come out here? And you're like, have we not had anyone new for a while? Like,
they got LeBron, but
no, but Magic is Mr. LA, right? But it's like this is what we used to go, come and see where the movies are made. It wasn't just like, you can skateboard, we got a bit of surfing. The beaches here suck dicks.
But like, honestly, dude,
anyone can tell me any different. I come from Australia, the beaches here are horrendous. They're not surf worthy, they're filled with fucking pollution. I had a skin rash.
Needles everywhere.
Yeah, they're shit.
I think it's also the Hollywood actors are like...
If you're Australian, you're coming out to Los Angeles because you want to check out Venice Beach and Santa Monica Beach, don't waste your fucking time. It's garbage. In comparison to where we grew up, it's garbage.
Not to dip into your material here, but it's like most people in the world now think Hollywood actors are cunts.
Yeah.
There's also that.
Yeah.
I remember it was a big, there was proper Hollywood stars. They were like royalty. It was America's royal family.
They should see lots of photos of stars and like going, but all they do now is, because of camera phones, they just party with internally where everyone takes their phone away. That's the only way that celebrities can do it. Where it used to be like this nightlife, you used to have a few cameras out the front as you were walking in and you were looking good. But once you got into that nightclub, the cameras were gone. Right? Now, we don't even see these people. They don't leave the house.
Well, they have the house parties at Diddy's and...
Well, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Now the FBI sees these parties.
They've pushed them into... They used to be these elusive things that we just saw them get out of a vehicle to the... That's all we saw.
So you think...
Even that's done. Go back 15 years ago. Girls were getting out of cars in London and paparazzi were trying to take photos up their dresses. Right? And the paparazzi, as it is now, doesn't really... The only people who are getting papped right now are people who desperately want to get papped. So they're wearing scantily dressed clothes. They're trying to get noticed as much as possible. But you're not getting any more fucking George Clooney of this world going into a nightclub with a new girl that you haven't seen him on the arm before. Just doesn't happen.
Yeah, I always wonder what those Starline tour buses here even do anymore. It's like, hey, Brad Pitt used to live in that house. He's not here anymore. Like,
Yeah, you see Lucille Ball's house.
You see a big fucking gate.
Yeah, see Lucille Ball's
But even like the whole surrounds, like Palm Springs is 99 miles away, and the only reason Palm Springs existed is studios used to have a term and a contract to say...
Three hour, you have to be
within
there.
3 hours.
Yeah.
So all of this place is built on, Hollywood land, on making films. And films in general moving forward, I mean, the reason we have superhero movies is because China's like the major market now, and they want less dialogue and they want big special effects, and actors are going to be computer generated. And it's like, I think maybe California's going, the movie industry isn't going to exist anyway. It's all going to be special effects. And
well, they've won that battle already with the SAG thing, but I think we should have computer generated children in movies. I don't think children should any longer be in film. I think there's too many horrific stories, too many stories of pedophilia and stuff like that come out, that Nickelodeon documentary, etc. Right? And everybody who was a child star always has regret from being a child star. There's a few people. I'm sure Jodie Foster doesn't. But I was watching like that She's So Raven girl or whatever. She was being interviewed recently, and she's like, I don't remember not working. So how is that not slavery of a certain time? She can't remember a time in her life when she wasn't on a TV show. She was on the Cosby Show as a little girl, and then she had That's So Right. She doesn't remember a time not
but she
being
could
on
also be digging for bauxite in a mine.
That's the whole thing. Would you swap your life with her? She has a pretty chill life. She has money in the bank.
I think so.
You know what I mean? But
I think also like the love of celebrity is about as low as it's ever been. I watched the Met Gala yesterday, and it's hard not to think of the Hunger Games of people in the Central District wearing these ridiculous outfits. Wealth inequality's never been higher.
The Met Gala, the idea that the Met Gala is for a charity, I don't know what the charity is, but you can all go fuck yourself. If you think you have to pay how many 10,000 to show up to look like a fucking wanker, you hear it from me right now. I'm not going to the Met Gala. Even if my star rises, I get movies or whatever, or something happens to my career, this podcast takes off. Who knows?
Yes.
Anyway, so I'm not going to the Met Gala because it's fucking filled with wankers.
I think
there's somebody I know in my life who wasn't a wanker, who I saw at the Met Gala and was a fucking wanker.
The Aussie in me looks at it and just thinks that all these people.
I'll tell you who it is off the air, but it's a person who was, when I met them when they were young, were very down to earth human being. A person that I met at the Edinburgh Festival back in the day, and I hung out with. Yeah. And now they look like a monumental cunt
this town,
at the Met Gala.
If you let it, if you get any modicum of success, you can be warped into
was wearing gloves as a man, get the fuck out of here, dude.
I just don't know what. Well, that's another thing that's happening at this moment is that I don't even know what that is. I don't know what they're. This is the same as like people who are running marathons for charity. Just give the money to charity and get out of my face.
I always look like Ed Sheeran, who I've spoken to once, and I have a mutual friend. I have two mutual friends with Ed Sheeran, right? And from all reports, solid ass dude, man. Meant to be one of the and part of his appeal is his everydayness.
Yes.
Right? Everydayness. That he's kind of cool, but he's not great looking. But he's also like, if you're a girl and he sang you a song, you know he'd fucking mean it, right? And then I see him at the Met Gala, I'm like, come on, Ed. You're meant to be but he didn't overdress it. So
what do you think would happen? So Warren Buffett has currently liquidated most of his money. He's got trillion. I don't know how many billions he's got there, 250 billion right now. If you said to all the celebrities, this year, we know you're here to raise money for charity, and this really matters to you. We will pay double whatever you raise for you to not be in these dumb clothes and not attend. Would they take that deal?
Well, this is the thing. The people who go seem to be the cunts of the celebrity world. It seems to be the cunt fest. And I know people who love the Met Gala and they follow the Met Gala, and they're also cunts. And I'll tell you who that is off the air.
There's a long list of people that we will not disparage publicly.
I won't publicly. No. Some of these people I am friends with, related to. Worked with for many years, married to.
Our kids hang out.
Have children with pale child support too.
Now let's whip through some more stories, which I just think are fucking amazing. Let's go more to Trump land. Here's a couple of good ones. He's going to pay people who are immigrants who have overstayed their visas $1,000 to self-deport. My visa is up on July 1st. I'm thinking July 2nd. I go to LAX, I'm here a day late.
Yeah, but you have to get your visa renewed.
You have to get the visa. But if I want out, fuck it. That's probably the best career move I've got.
That's what you. That's your retirement plan. Is $1,000 from America. Even though you've been paying higher taxes here than you could have in Australia, you think that you're going to beat my wife.
That's what I think of my career trajectory at this point. That's my best.
My wife always, whenever we watch The Bachelor and they give the diamond ring, she goes, I'm always like, oh, why do these people get bloody engaged? You need longer than a fucking 6 dates to get engaged on TV. You know what I mean? And she's there going, oh, yeah. She goes, I'd do it just to get the ring. So you'd go on the show, then you get the ring. I'm like, it's a fucking 10 grand ring, right? Mm-hmm. It's not garbage, but it's not Tiffany's, it's not Cartier, it's a 10 grand ring, $15,000 ring. Nice, 10, 15 grand. You've been on the show for 9 weeks. You've had to travel the world, and
be humiliated.
And you have to keep the engagement for 1 year to keep the ring. Otherwise, you've got to give it back to the show, right?
I didn't know that was a contract.
Yeah, there's a thing like you can't just like go get engaged, get the ring, and then you guys get divorced and split the money. No, you got to keep it for a certain while, or otherwise you got to give the ring back. That's not the best. I've seen better scams. I've seen better ways to earn 15 grand. That's my wife's big get-rich plan.
But if you think about all the 20 million immigrants supposedly came in without papers, $1,000 each to just leave instead of having a trial. How many do you think would take that? That's good money going back to Mexico. $1,000. No record.
Do you think they swam across the Rio Grande, jumped over a wall with a bit of rope, went through the fucking thing to get to America, all to give it up for $1,000?
Dude, I flew to Buffalo and did a gig for $200. They've beaten me.
Yeah, but you're going to do many of those gigs. You're going to do many.
They beat me, dude. I went in the winter to Buffalo.
You could have earned more opening for me. I offered you the same gig to open for me in Buffalo for more money than that.
I gave it up to Forrest, but just for different reasons. I think a lot of people would take the $1,000 if they knew that, they're going to be hunted down. You just walk out for the grand. That doesn't stop you coming back.
Yeah, but it puts you on a register. It doesn't mean that you can't slip back in.
No. Next story. Donald Trump considers, this is a good one, reopening Alcatraz.
I've heard about this. He wants to reopen Alcatraz. I'm with him, and I'll tell you why.
Just let me give you info. Closed in 1963 as an operational prison.
Yeah.
Housed Al Capone.
Yep.
Amongst other famous...
The escape from Alcatraz is infamous. One of my favourite movies is that Clint Eastwood film. I love it.
Dude, they literally said to Donald Trump, what made you think of this? And 100% he was watching The Rock. For sure.
Yeah.
He just must have watched that movie and it came into his mind.
It's very hard to escape. Or the infrastructure's already there.
It's decayed.
You've got to do a refurb. It needs a new kitchen.
What does Doge say about that?
It needs a new kitchen, right? Yeah. But, and you get those vents where they escape from, seal them up.
Yeah.
Seal them up.
Oh, yeah, for sure. We've learnt.
What do you need vents for? You've already got bars on this side. You've got bars on this side. It's already vented. You put vents outside of the cells.
So you'd like that open because a lot of people are saying you should put the most high-profile prisoners there.
Okay, first of all, it's a tourist destination. In San Francisco now, where people get on a boat and go over. I've been to San Francisco about 15 times. I haven't bothered to go over there because I don't want to see an old prison. I get what. It might be a nice view back, right? Also, so for a bloke like me who's never gone to visit, who just looks at it, I'd love to look at it and go, Bin Laden's over there, or the equivalent thereof.
Okay, you think like international terrorists. The new Guantanamo is here.
Well, it's a nice view, isn't it? It's meant to be a very nice view, but and also they get lobster there all the time because of where it's at, right? They get so it's meant to be very nice. I might go.
So your pitch here is we get people like Osama bin Laden, leave them in Alcatraz, and tourists come by and sort of throw rocks at them or something like that.
Throw lobsters at them.
You get lobsters to pinch the tits.
No, it's just like, so you get on the Golden Gate Bridge and you drive over. I left my heart. Hey kids, look out the side there. Bin Laden in San Fran.
Why don't you just get the most notorious criminals? Like you get like the Unabomber, Son of Sam.
I get both of them.
You get them all in there.
Yeah. So you get the Unabomber,
and you can visit the most notorious
Timothy
people.
McVeigh. I found out he's dead. I watched that documentary. They already killed him. I thought he was still on death row.
We're reopening Shawshank.
Unabomber also dead.
Unabomber also dead.
Shawshank, we're reopening, and this time we're gonna be looking out for posters. You can't have a poster in a cell.
You can't have a poster in a cell.
No posters. How dumb was that warden?
Yeah. You can have pictures of women. I'm not made of stone. Just
digital.
A4 size.
Those prisons were so good.
A4 size with gaps.
People would leave the prison and kill themselves because they were sad they weren't still there. The great prison.
Brooks. I like his shoes and his suicide.
Count of Monte Cristo.
That's one of your favorite movies.
we're gonna open the Chateau d'If and put the worst of the worst.
So what is the pushback to, because we need prisons. The prisons are overfull.
Well, they cost a lot of money.
There's a prison. Yeah, they cost a lot of money because we. Okay,
well, I think honestly, I think Donald Trump's going
free. The America has the least amount of free people. 1% of the population is incarcerated, which is an immense amount. It's more than double that of other countries, right? 1% of the population. So. Look, how do you fix it? How do you fix crime? You got to start ground roots. You got to fix the foster care system so that people feel like they're wanted and loved in this world. Then you got to fix the housing crisis so that people aren't homeless, so they aren't pushed into fucking crime. Drugs are way down on this fucking list, but you got to fix that in the sense that there should be shooting galleries and stuff like that so people can get clean drugs and they're not dying. There's so much stuff you have to do here. It's like rebuilding any sports team. The system you're using is old. The players are old. You've got to bring in youth type of thing. So start with the young people. Start making them feel wanted. Start making them feel housed. Start having drug programs. Let people get abortions. That's a big one because we don't want unwanted people in the country. You bring unwanted people in the country, they're going to be treated badly. They're going to wake up with grow up with a chip on their shoulder. They're not going to be happy with the society they live in. They will rebel, and that's where crime happens. This whole idea is as simple as saying it's just drugs, or it's just this, or it's illegal immigrants.
Well, drugs don't help.
They don't help, but people turn to drugs as an escape from the other shit. And why is it happening in this country and in other countries? It doesn't happen as much in countries with socialist governments that give unemployment benefits and housing. It just doesn't.
I'm a little confused.
I know, I sound like...
Do we open the rock or do we not?
Okay, but if you're going to continue on with the program that you're doing of incarcerating 1% of your population, open the rock!
I just got to think, he's sending people to El Salvador and everyone goes, that's cruel. It's a bad prison. And he's like, okay, then how about the Bay Area?
All the people on the Epstein list, they like going to islands. That was my best Trump yet.
I think let's get the Tower of London back.
The Tower of London had the Cray twins.
Let's put Prince Harry in the fucking Tower of London.
I went to the top of the Tower of London to do a field piece for the Jim Jefferies show that never aired. This field piece was going to be on the next season, and we have a field piece from the Tower of London. And I took a private guy because there was a comedian there whose father actually lived in the Tower of London, who was like one of the top guys from the military who were running it. And I sat on Hitler's toilet.
What?
They had a cell in the Tower of London that was made and built especially for Hitler. And because they didn't want him in the cross population, it was the only cell with a toilet. It was waiting there to be used.
Oh, he never sat on it.
He never sat on it, but it is referred to as Hitler's toilet. Jack, you were there, were you?
Nope.
Ah, okay. Well, you look so much Hitler. Jack has reverse Hitler beard. Have you ever noticed that about Jack? Everything else is thicker except for the Hitler section. That's where his facial hair is the thinnest.
He's anti-fascist.
That's how little Hitler he is. He has a reverse Hitler beard. Like even like coming up the sides, it's hairy, joining up in the middle bit. Gone. No Hitler.
Is that a Japanese thing?
No, Japanese loved Hitler.
No, I know that, but I'm saying the facial hair pattern.
Probably.
Yeah.
Have you noticed that he's got the reverse Hitler?
Only when I didn't notice he had the reverse Hitler. Only when I met Jack's dad recently, and I did not know that your dad was like a full Japanese man.
He's half Japanese.
I know, but Jack does not seem Japanese at all to me.
No, Jack doesn't seem Japanese, but no, he's...
If I had a Japanese dad like that, I'd play up the Japanese element so much more.
Yeah.
You know, you do nothing with it. You've never even asked me out for sushi. Nothing. You don't lean into any of the cool
You
bit.
never even have a hemorrhoid bleed onto some white underwear.
Have I ever told you about my Japanese friend Takashi Wakasugi?
No.
You don't have to do the voice. Just say Takashi Wakasugi. Do it in your own voice. Don't go, Takashi. Okay. Don't do that.
So he's like one of my favorite people in comedy.
Okay.
He's a Japanese dude that moved to Australia. And I was fascinated about this with the Japanese. I watch a lot of World War II docs. And he was staying with me, and I was watching World War II documentaries. My brother used to live with me, and he goes, dude, he's like, you can't be watching the Battle of Iwo Jima and World War II stuff with a Japanese dude here. He goes, what are you putting out? He doesn't want to watch that, you know? And Takashi was like, I've never seen any of this. Because the Japanese learn nothing They learn nothing about the war, the kids that grow up. It's just like swept under the rug. They've gone on with it. They don't really like to talk about their imperial past. They've just, and so he was looking at me and he's like, play more. And I went, you want to watch more? And I'm like watching a good 3 hours of doco about the Can-I-Kazes.
Did you do Pearl Harbor?
Pearl Harbor. We did the whole thing, right? We watched
Did he know about Pearl Harbor?
He'd heard like the vagaries of it. And so I am asleep and I wake up to him tapping me on the shoulder and Waka goes...
With a bayonet.
and Waka goes to me, he goes, do you have more? And I said...
Hitler documentaries, Nazi documentaries.
I said,
do
yeah,
I
man.
have more?
I go, there's heaps more. He goes, Japan, so brave. Japanese are small country, so dominant. We are so brave and strong and so much dignity. And I was like, fuck, I've radicalized him. Like, this is why...
He got pro-Japanese from these documentaries.
Dude, he got so pro-Japanese to the point where he was like, you cowardly Americans on your ships, we would fucking fly our plane into your ship because we believed in the emperor and you were scared of us. We were the most unbelievable fighting force. Little island that conquered China.
They were also the nastiest fucking prisoner of war camps
100%.
that existed. They treated the prisoner of wars. There's meant to be dignity with soldiers. It's meant to be a little bit like Hogan's Heroes, right? It's meant to be more like Hogan's Heroes. And the prisoner of war camps with the Japanese was no good.
And I could just see him doing. He's kind of like, Japan was a samurai. And I went, maybe that's why they're not allowed to be shown this stuff, because lurking under the surface, it can be turned on. It's like if Germany never...
Maybe we'll get them fucking again. Start showing World War II
Well, that's what I mean. We've taken all the testosterone out of the Japanese.
Yeah.
And we did that because we didn't want them to do any more Pearl Harbors.
Now they're called Can-I-Kaze?
Can-I-Kaze? They literally went from carving people up with samurai swords to being very delicate and intricate with cutting fish.
Oh, yeah.
They've been completely nuded.
Now, back in the day, they used to do the origami for the paper cuts.
That's what you do to a proud culture. When you demilitarize them, they go, we are so good at the folded paper.
That is a good name for the episode, Can-I-Kaze.
No, you can't. Not anymore, Hirohito. You kazied once, you'll kazi again.
Hirohito. Should be called Heroin Hito. The way you're behaving.
Okay, so I think Alcatraz... Bit of fun, but anytime Donald Trump starts talking about movie tariffs and Alcatraz, he's obviously doing that to hide something else that's going on. He loves to throw that out there, like a picture of him as the Pope.
He clearly is watching The Rock.
So, yeah.
He's clearly watching they don't make movies like this anymore. Not in California. They used to make them on The Rock, with The Rock. Is that The Rock or is that Sean Connery? Who's The Rock?
I'm ready to lose. That was Jerry Seinfeld as
Who's
Donald
The
Trump.
Rock? What do we... Donald Trump.
What's the deal with these immigrants?
Like this. Oh, no. My approval rating's so low. Tariffs, what's all that about? You tariff me, I'll tariff you.
We finished?
Yeah.
Let's end on this one. I'm ready to lose all your, not even the people that like you. Another big thing that happened today was...
people who like me?
No, I'm saying some people that like you more politically than I, which would make sense given it's your podcast.
But we're in the middle. It's our podcast. Yeah. We split the money 50-50, of which
Zero.
there is none.
Zero.
We haven't got ads yet.
I'm very proud of the fact that we haven't made $1. Yeah. It makes me feel like the quality can remain low.
Yeah, and also, you can tell with the information that's being carried out. Hey, are you allowed to be cancelled for a project you made no money on?
It's certainly harsh.
Yeah, I feel like that's unfair. Like, what are you going to judge me for all those home pornos?
Donald Trump and Robert F. Kennedy Jr. yesterday were discussing their new
be healthy
executive order. Was the end of gain-of-function research.
Thank fuck that guy didn't become president, because how would he do after a school shooting? Thoughts and prayers.
Why does it sound like Forrest taking a shit?
Our country has an epidemic. Autism.
Yes. Gain-of-function research.
I said that to my wife the other day. I said autism's been around forever. They just didn't diagnose it. I said to my wife and mother-in-law, I said autism's been around forever. They just didn't diagnose it. Back in the day, you had guys who were obsessed with trains and Star Trek. And my wife went, "You're just explaining Daddy."
Yes.
And I went, yeah. Well, what can you do?
All right. Well, we obviously doesn't want to touch gain of function
go
research
on,
because it's paid off by Pfizer.
go on.
No, that was a big one. So
Tell me again, because
gain of function research has been officially
Game of Thrones research.
Yes, there's no more Game of Thrones.
Okay.
It's
Stop doing that down the thing. People are trying to listen. They don't want it. They go, what's the clicking? Is there something wrong with our bearings?
function research.
Game of function. What does that mean?
Gain of function is when you're fiddling around with the virus to make it more infective. More
Okay,
infectious.
I'm a believer that that's how we got COVID.
Yes. So obviously,
I don't think anyone ate a bat. I think they were just fucking around with viruses,
that's
as we do as
proven,
well. We
yeah.
do as well.
Well, we did it, not them.
No, the COVID Virus Institute in fucking in
Wuhan.
In Wuhan.
Funded by.
Oh, it doesn't. Now it's the same as the movies. Who made this movie? Who made that movie? No, that was the Chinese.
In 2014,
Yeah.
it was banned from being done. So it was banned by Richard Nixon, and then after, remember the anthrax scandals of 2001, and all that anthrax came in, which a lot of people think was fake.
Who was landing on that Indian comics? What's his name? He got all the anthrax.
Everyone made it an anthrax claim at some point.
Yeah, everyone had anthrax.
And then they brought back a lot of this research because they were like,
I
we're
have
in
an Amex.
bioweapon. We're in bioweapon era. And so they did the gain of function. Then it was banned in 2014 by Obama onshore. So they offshored it. And one of those places was Wuhan. And this is where this research was done. And then that's where COVID came from. And now they've officially banned it there. And I do think all the time, COVID is obviously the biggest thing of our lifetime. If you think of the impact on the planet. We have a pre-COVID and post-COVID world.
I would say the Luka Doncic trade.
That was certainly for the city of Dallas.
It was very big.
The Doncic trade.
Very big.
Left a big impact.
Very big.
But
Fat 6'7" guy.
I don't understand how we've just all memory hold what happened. And we had this lab leak of a fucked with weaponized virus.
Millions died.
Right? Millions died, economy destroyed, the world will sort of be different now forever. And there is no accountability. What happened? Doesn't the whole world want to know? How do we just let this slide?
Do you think RFK is going to tell us?
Well, they've just banned any more of that research, but I think...
I'm happy we've banned that research because I don't think we should weaponize viruses because it's too hard to not use against yourself.
But it's also like you think you're God and you fuck with these viruses and then they're obviously going to leak. These things get out. There's no way to stop them. You don't know how it's going to mutate and what's going to happen. And like COVID was crazy. And I just can't really fathom that we can't really point to who's to be blamed. You fucked the world and there's just nothing. Oh, we just move on. We just move on.
Yeah.
And so I think whoever is found guilty for that, probably Fauci and his team, Alcatraz. Maybe that's what Alcatraz is all about.
And then we released the virus there, but no one's allowed off.
Well, the movie The Rock was about a virus.
Oh God, it's been a long time.
And so we put Fauci on Alcatraz with all of the viruses that he did gain of function research on, and he has to try. He has to try and come up with a cure, and we film it all, and that's an American movie as well.
I don't like that this studio is so far away from your home. You have too much time to think on the way here.
Oh yeah, I'll give you one other conspiracy that we can finish on as we wrap up this episode.
I'm in.
I like this one from the New York Post.
New York Post.
Bush official.
These little.
And we're going to end on this, so the audience can think about this while they drive.
Okay, driving around.
Bush official claims the US built $21 trillion underground city for the government to exist in a post-apocalyptic extinction event.
Billionaire who believes this?
A Bush official.
He says this is a real thing.
She says that there's an underground budget, a black budget, to build an underground city essentially for a near extinction.
Oh, there's a budget. That doesn't mean done.
And it has been built. And these concreters and stuff.
Where is it?
I don't know where it is.
Okay, so because there's a common belief that there is a city underneath, not a common
Disneyland?
belief, underneath
for pedophilia.
Denver Airport.
That could be it. I've heard about that often.
Denver Airport's meant to have like trains and stuff, and why did they build it so far out? It's meant to be bunkers and stuff like that, and there's meant to be symbols in the marble on the floor and all this type of things. And you can go down a real rabbit hole.
I was down a big rabbit hole of billionaires building bunkers, and so it was all these famous and rich people that are building bunkers in the Swiss Alps into the mountain.
Yeah, but life's not that long anyway. What are you missing out on? Okay, you're a billionaire, so I would have to assume being a billionaire, you're old because it takes a long time to become a billionaire unless you're a young person.
Or you fuck one.
Yeah, you fuck one. You shout out.
Mackenzie.
So billionaire. If the world ends, if the meteorite comes I will hug my children and look up with them, and I'll say to them, I'll go, you got to be part of this. We all got to be part of this. It's over now.
Yeah, we're all going together.
We're all going together. I'm all right with us all going together. I'm okay with us all going together.
But they'll never let that happen.
I'm not okay with just one city going, but if the meteorite, they'll never let it happen. They'll never let that happen. You think we have the technology to fend off any meteorite that comes to our world?
It's not a meteorite. For what this person was talking about...
I'd rather the meteorite than global warming and a slow decline.
This kept me up at night was...
water levels rising.
Magnetic pole shift and axis tilt. Have you seen that? So, there's the two poles.
Yeah.
They're drifting like this. So they're drifting off center. And supposedly, if they keep drifting further and further up the top there, then you'll have a full axis tilt. And it's like imagine the Earth just starts spinning.
Well, we've already changed axis already several times. There's
what is this?
Sort of cold animals, fossils that have been found in Australia, ocean-dwelling animals that have been found in the centre of Australia. You know what I mean? Like that should be swimming. So we've changed accesses and stuff like that. Did I ever tell you? Like, what did you learn? How did the dinosaurs go away? We talked about this. This always upsets me.
About
what did you learn in Australian school?
Essentially, there was one big flaming rock that hit, and they all just basically perished like a nuclear bomb that went.
There's a crater that they think is the crater in Mexico, which they know is like a meteorite has hit here. They think that turned the axis of the world, brought on an ice age, killed off all the animals, blah, 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 blah. Cut to 15 years earlier in the Australian school system, we weren't taught that. We were taught that the herbivores ate all the plants and the carnivores ate all the herbivores. They ran out of food. Can you fucking believe that? That was what I was taught.
What do you mean? There was no extinction event?
No. We were taught...
They were just greedy
in the 1980s in Australia, we were taught by the school system that they ate all the food. Stop asking questions. They ate all the food.
That's the anti-veganism that runs rampant in Australia, is we blame it on the animals that ate the plants.
The animals ate all the plants, and the other animals ate all the other animals, and because there was no more plants, we couldn't eat anything. Because they ate all the plants, is what we were told. Yeah, right. And I believed it for a long time, till I finished high school. I was like, oh, they ate all the plants. I was saying that to people as like a conversation thing. Oh, if they didn't eat all the plants, they would have been all right. We don't eat all the plants. What else? And we're fucking a plague on the world.
What else did you ever read the book The Fatal Shore?
Is it Chevy Chase's biography? Because if it isn't, then I haven't.
Was that the only book you've ever read?
That's the last book I read, Chevy Chase's biography. I read the Chris Farley biography as well.
Nothing annoys me more than the fact that you're about to be a published author and you've never read.
Yeah, but I'm legitimately writing this book, man. I'm getting into it. I got a ghostwriter who helps me, but it's all my words, and I'm taking my time with it to do it properly.
I know you're a man in the Writers Guild who doesn't own a pen or a laptop.
I have a pen.
It's fucking
a good pen too. I haven't tested it.
But Jim, we're pretty much done. I just thought I'll end on one last thing so Jack can have an edit point for a nice finish. I just wanted to read the third most popular story in Australia today.
Okay.
Curious to get your perspective as an Australian identity.
Sure.
Personality. News.com.au published this morning. The truth about female orgasms revealed in new study. Where do you think this is going?
That they do exist.
Yeah, I know. Just like the dinosaurs.
We can do anything that men can do. We're going to come now. Good on you.
Here we go. Today we have new research out of the US where some academics have dedicated themselves to the burning question, why aren't women having more orgasms? Sadly, big tech, big pharma, big porn, and many other industries have combined with $21 trillion and have failed to solve this.
It's everyone else's fault, is it?
If you can't come after $21 trillion...
I used to do a joke. I like women like, he couldn't make me come, he couldn't make me come, he couldn't make me come. Do you think you're making me come? I make me come. It's because I put the work in. It's all the bad thoughts in me head that make me come. You're just there. Shh.
The study led by Carly Wolfer, a doctoral candidate in social psychology at City University of New York, asked 127 people in hetero relationships between 18 and 40 to keep sex diaries for 3 weeks. Oh, yeah. First of all, if you're the kind of person who's keeping a sex diary, if you're in a relationship, no wonder you don't come. Yeah. You know what I mean? You're a real type A busybody. You need to let go a little bit. She found that men orgasm during 90% of sexual encounters, while women only got to the same place over half the time at 54%. It gets worse. Not only are men 15 times more likely to come than women, but when they do, they have more satisfying orgasms. What? You think you have do you think you've ever had a more satisfying orgasm than a woman?
Not than a woman. No. When a woman orgasms,
we sort of grunt out poison.
I've never had a leg start jiggling uncontrollably.
Yeah, it's just like we just go, oh God. It's like taking a shit.
Yeah, no, yeah. Having an
You're like, I can get on with the day.
Yeah, having an orgasm is moving on from this activity.
Done.
That activity's done.
Yeah, I got rid of that.
And now let's start.
Honestly, I've blown my nose and felt as good. Like really cleared it out with a bushman's blow. Mm-hmm. Not that dissimilar. Anyway, they've written in here that women need to buy more, apparently. And this gets me up the fucking goat. We need to normalize sex toys, she's decided.
Normalized! I bought girls the bloody rabbit after it was on Sex and the City from a shop called Ann Summers, which was on the high street. The high street all around Britain was in train stations, Ann Summers. They had a wall of vibrators. It was the hot Christmas gift of 2003.
Dude, they sell them in the Amsterdam airport next to Bose headphones. Literally Bose headphones and a vibrator, so you can put noise cancelling on and just fucking flick the bean with an erratic vibrator in the airport lounge.
Yeah.
They're normalised. You know what I think we need to do is we need to bring shame back, because I think that's what makes people come better. Shame.
They need
Permissiveness is not sexy. Permissiveness. You know, because like all the young people you talk to, they're so outward. They speak about sex so much, but none of them come or fuck.
Yeah, I know this.
They're the generation that speaks the most about their desires to have sex and what kind of sex they want.
Do you want to know why? Because at the core of it, they're a group of rats, right? The young generation, right? They're a group of rats.
Go on.
Okay. They
notoriously breed a lot, rats.
No. Because I mean in the mafia sense, right?
Okay.
They all extort each other. Right? They're all, because the phones, I've recorded this, I've recorded that, I have a photo, I have a text message of you saying this. So everyone's very guarded when it comes to sex now. I don't want to say anything out of hand. I don't want to, there's a webpage, are we dating the same guy? You know what I mean? Like, they get fucked over too easily.
So everyone's collating evidence.
So now they all watch too much porn, they don't fuck. They know that if you do fucking slip up in sex, and sex now is such a multimedia thing where it involves texting, it involves whatever, your sex life will just be presented to the world and you'll be named and shamed if you do, right? Maybe not publicly, but to the friends and stuff like that. So, yeah, they're a different
You know
breed.
that things are bad when Blue Chew's targeted at young people.
They try. Like,
we'd love Blue Chew.
You shouldn't. Yeah, no, we'll do ads for them later. But yeah,
like what kind of could you imagine?
Gary Nugent doesn't take a tablet. Gary Nugent still gets erections the old-fashioned way.
Imagine telling men in the 60s on their way to Woodstock, "Do you need Viagra?" What? What do you mean? What do I mean? Do I need Viagra?
Yeah.
I'm 20 going to a music festival.
Oh, no.
We're going to fucking attack.
Back in the day, they could still get an erection by looking at a vagina that had hair going down the thighs.
Like essentially Chewbacca.
They could see one that was growing down. It was coming out the side of the underwear, and they were still like, I'm in.
Yeah, and then a dude now sees the most perfectly sculpted Pilates pussy that's waxed.
Yeah,
and he's
yeah.
like, I need a Blue Chew. I've got nothing going on.
That's had the designer vagina deal done to it. And it's got, what is also now with this last year with body deodorants. It was just the pits we were worried about.
Now the pussy smells good. It's waxed. She does Pilates. She's got a great diet.
She's wearing yoga pants all day.
All day. And if your dick isn't working, son, you need to have a good hard look at yourself. You don't know how good you've got it. How hot people are now compared to back in the day. You look at the beauties of the 1950s.
I had girlfriends back in the day that you could go down on, and if you could see yourself in the mirror, you were like, I look like Lincoln. Probably because of my big hat I was wearing.
All right. We'll leave it at that. Thank you, everybody.
Good night, sir.